Welcome to Booked All Night, the podcast where hot takes meet craft notes and nobody gets enough sleep. I'm Jessica Mary, and today I am joined by Julee Balko, author of Square Hearts. Welcome to the pod.
That I already got the book in there once. We're done.
Yeah, woo! I'm glad you have a copy of it. Sometimes we interview authors, and it's like so far in advance they don't have the physical copy of their book yet. We just interviewed, I believe it was Anastasia, our last interview, and she doesn't have a copy yet because it doesn't come out for like a year. So we're
Oh,
like,
wow.
okay, we can't play that game. It's fine.
I have all my books next to me because that's how I roll.
That is smart. That is very smart for podcast
Been
interviews.
here, done that, I guess. Book, you bring the book, right? No.
I would bring my if I ever get published, or the more hopeful statement, when I finally get published, I'm just gonna have it in my purse, and people are like, "Oh, you wrote a book?" I'm like, yes, this one right here in my purse. How convenient! Have a copy.
I joked I was going to make like a necklace and just wear it. Oh, we came up in conversation. Oh, this?
Ah, this. Hang it around your neck like a badge, like a con badge.
Exactly.
Yeah, little protective casing to
I
it.
think I can
It'd be
pull it
great.
off. It's cool.
It'd be great. So this very first game that we play is called Superlatives, very much like, senior yearbook, most likely to, least likely to, etc., etc. And you're just going to pick from, hopefully from Square Hearts so that we get to know the characters, but you can pick from any of your work if that's what you feel more comfortable answering with.
Cool.
Okay. So first, most likely to get kicked out of a group chat.
Definitely Maeve. Maeve is the neighbor, and she turns out to be a narcissist. And she's like one of those perfect people that you kind of like, but actually hate.
Feel that? I have those
Mhm.
neighbors in real life. Yeah. Least likely to believe in ghosts.
Hmm. I don't know because so many of these people have people that they lost that
Mm-hmm.
have passed away that I feel like they'd all want to believe in ghosts because they'd want that connection. I don't know. There's a cute cat in it. Maybe he doesn't believe in ghosts because cats are weird.
Most likely to start drama and deny it.
Well, probably Maeve again. But actually, I don't know if it's terrible, but I have a kind of a terrible child in this book, which you don't see very often, but she's a little bit evil. So let's make it, it's Maeve's daughter, no surprise. And her name is Sage, and Sage causes a lot of trouble. So
Sage sounds like an evil child name.
I know.
Sorry
I
to
felt
anyone who has been
guilty.
named Sage, but
I know, actually, so it's named after a friend whose brother has that for their child. And I said, I really like the name. Can I use it for my book? But please know the child is terrible in it. Is that okay? And luckily, she's a good friend. And she's like, yeah, take the name. So,
that's fine. Even
thanks.
if it were me and you were writing a terrible child, I imagine that my child would probably be a terrible child just because of what I was like as a kid. Be like, you know what? Go right ahead. Go right ahead. Most likely to cry in public and pretend it didn't happen.
Definitely the main character, Nicola, who had lost her husband about 2 years earlier in a car accident. And there's definitely times in the book where she's still just kind of dealing with grief.
And the last one is most likely to accidentally go viral.
um, so maybe the neighbor's husband, who's kind of hot and is a violin teacher and does a lot of video stuff. I think that could be fun.
Possibilities.
Hmm.
So before we jump into the official questions about the book, I just want to let everybody know at home that all of the booklets on our Discord server can drop a question in our interview forums for all of the wonderful guests that we host here on the podcast. And if you get a few in for Julie, I can make sure that they go up by the end of the interview today. Just visit bookedallnight.co and sign up today and then drop your question in the appropriate forum. So the first official question. The idea that hearts have four sides is a very striking emotional anchor. What did that metaphor unlock for you when you started writing Nicola's story?
Well, I had this idea that her husband, who had passed away, would have the idea for the four sides of her heart. And that's how the book starts. You learn these beautiful, wonderful writing, of course, of these four sides. And then you learn Peter's dead. And she has to kind of put back together the four sides of her heart. I love the idea of square hearts, square meaning like uncool too, because the characters are really quirky
Mm-hmm.
And the daughter is neurodivergent, and she loves squares because they're predictable, right? There's safety in that. She actually hates circles, and she cuts up any food that's a circle into a square. There's a lot of donuts being cut into a square. So there's a lot of different ways the square kind of heart plays out in the book.
I like that. It's very. Is that Did you come up with that on your own, or is that like a grieving technique or something from therapy that came up? Or
The square part?
yeah.
No, but interestingly enough, so this book and my past book, it's kind of called self-help fiction in that there is a little bit of a self-help theme. And in here in Square Hearts, Nicola often gets overwhelmed, and she does practice square breathing,
Mm-hmm.
where it kind of calms her down. So I don't know why. I actually, the square started with the daughter, the neurodivergent daughter, having kind of this just peacefulness around squares, and it went from there. And suddenly I was like, Square Hearts, this is, I'm not kind of an outline writer. It definitely happens very fluidly. So never know what
Yo,
you're going to get.
I do not outline, and
Outlines are evil.
everyone can thank my history as an English major for that because I got burnt out on
Yeah,
outlines.
I know.
No, no more. I can't do it.
I mean, I know like the pulse points, I know the broad strokes, but then I just let whatever happens, happens. And that's the fun part.
Yes, yes, it is. So, as you're saying earlier, Nicola's navigating grief as well as motherhood, a little bit identities, desire because the neighbor's hot. All of this all at once. Which emotional threads do you feel are the most at odds with one another?
I mean, in some ways, that's the book, right? That's the tension of her trying to move on, but feeling this pull of the past, feeling this guilt of the past. It's like, how do you move on when you've had this like wonderful love? There's also a beautiful kind of self love story that happens in the book, because I thought the thing about romance that kind of annoys me, sorry, people, is that the woman always falls in love with the man, and it's like, oh, life is better. I really wanted to write a book where the woman also just fell back in love with herself, and that like empowerment is also what made her life better. So yeah, there's a hot guy and she'll fall in love, and don't worry, it's great. But also that idea that she can look in the mirror and kind of find herself again is what I think is such a cool part of the book.
That is fun. And we do have an audience question. Someone would like to know, how does someone get into something like self help fiction? Presumably writing
Accidentally.
something.
No, just so I think the thought is I have three daughters, and for
Mhm.
every book I'm always thinking about one day I won't be here and they're going to read these books, and what are the messages I want them to feel or think about. And I kind of started getting this self-help angle of you read a book and a story and it moves you, but what if it actually improved your life? So for my last book, which I happen to have next to me, called The Me List,
This
it
is why
was
we keep them around.
it's always here. What if we put us ourselves as moms, which we never do, to the top of our list? What if we had a list about our own joys? What would we put on it? And there's actually a part in the back where you can write your own me list. And I love that idea of not only are you getting a story that's really funny and good, but by the end, you're actually writing out a list to improve your life. So
I like
self-help
that.
fiction just was kind of something I decided to do, because when you're a writer, you can do whatever you want. And it really took off. The Me List was so cool because so many readers would send me their list. And here are all these people that not just read a great book,
Aw.
but were like trying new things and, dancing and just doing crazy things. It was lovely. So for Square Hearts, I wanted a little bit of that again, because I just love the idea of books being like a part that improves our lives.
Yeah, I think it's really great. Your ideal audience in mind is someone that is actively seeing themselves on the page, and even if it's not like directed at you, that there is something to take away from it. And I love that, especially the little list at the end. I love interaction
Yeah.
with our fiction, with our books, with our media in general. And I could go on a very long tangent about that, but we're live and producer Rob can't cut that out. So I will curb that and get back to our regularly scheduled questions.
Well, I will tell you, Square Hearts also has a part in the back where you can write out a mantra for your square breathing, because
Oh,
Nicola also talks to herself, and she says the four parts of her heart that her husband had said. So I really wanted that part again, that the reader could read a book but also get something out of it.
yeah. Could you explain what square breathing is for our audience?
Sure, it's basically holding in your breath and letting it go, and holding it again and letting it go, and it in your head it almost forms a square, but
Hmm.
it's very simple, and it's just a way to get yourself centered. And the way I started it is I have a daughter who sometimes gets very emotionally overwhelmed. And it was just a simple practice we could do that she could do. And we do it together and it would calm her down. So I thought it would be lovely to put in the book just as a way to kind of show how Nicola kind of calms herself down.
Aw, apparently on YouTube, we have a few people in the audience who have written a me list and they're very excited about that idea. That's very
Yay!
nice, guys.
Good job.
You should
Share
hit
it.
up hit up the Discord and share it so I can see these because I never get to see the comments until producer Rob gets them into the chat. So help producer Rob out and go to Discord. I'll see them easy there. So my final official question about the book
Mhm.
is about Daisy's relationship and her relationship to change specifically and how that plays such a crucial role in shaping Nicola's choices. How does Daisy's character and her neurodivergence influence and shape the narrative throughout the story?
Well, I will tell you right now, it's April, which is like neurodiversity month. So,
Mm-hmm.
yay. I think there's about 60 million people in the US that's neurodivergent, including me, including my daughter. So, it was really,
Including everybody here at the podcast.
yeah, because we're cool. That's how it works, right? Creative
Yep.
people are never normal, and nor would we want to be. So, no, it's okay if you're normal. Um, so for me, Daisy was so critical to get right because not only was she going to represent my daughters, I know how important it is to see neurodivergent characters, and I really wanted her to play a critical part in this book. So
Mm-hmm.
yes, Daisy hates change, and that whole book is about life changing. So you can only imagine how that comes to play. And the interesting thing about the character is when I first wrote it, I was just going to call her neurodivergent. I wasn't going to use the word autism. I didn't want to
Mm-hmm.
necessarily, because as soon as I use that word, then I feel like I have to represent people that are, it's just a bigger representation story. And I only know
Yeah.
but early readers they didn't understand Daisy because if you don't have a lovely neurodivergent person in your life, you're like, why is this kid overwhelmed just by going to school? Or
Yeah.
why doesn't she like to be touched? And it became, they thought she was being a brat when she was actually being overwhelmed or, all
Mm-hmm.
these things. So I wound up putting the word in. Really, my daughters helped me a lot. I was very curious and I'd ask them questions and really develop just the neurodivergent brain a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I threw it through the beta readers again, it was totally different. It was like, oh, wow, thank you for showing me this side of, neurodivergence. So cool to see, autistic brain kind of brought to life. So then I realized, okay, I got it right. This character is going to be great. And she is very pivotal. And Nicola kind of understanding herself, accepting kind of how to be a better parent to her and just how to move on. So
Yeah.
very excited for people to read it.
I love that so much, and especially about the representation, because I feel so much of the neurodivergent or like neuroatypical representation is all about them getting better and
Mm-hmm.
not about learning to cope with their specific neurodivergence or working their way through being overwhelmed. It's just like almost like a picture book kind of presentation about what it is like to live with a brain that doesn't shut up.
And I
I,
feel like there's not a lot of women. There's not a lot of little girls. We see a lot of
yeah,
boys, and girls
yes.
present differently. We mask differently. Like it's a whole different world. And yeah, to some people, they do think it's like, why is that child being naughty? And it's like, no, no, she's not being naughty. She's overwhelmed or she's feeling, whatever. So if this book helps somebody see a child in that moment and have like a moment of grace and love, then the book has done its job.
Yeah. I just love that so much. I also write neurodivergent characters as I myself am. I prefer the term neurosparkly because there's just so many
I love
diagnoses on
that.
there.
Yeah.
But when my sister went back to school recently, she was a music major and then she went back to school for neuroscience, like you do, because they're so related.
Mhm.
And in one of her classes, they were talking about the grab bag diagnoses, where
Mhm.
you have this huge luggage like bag until you finally get something that kind of fits all of them. So autism has so much comorbidity. This is my big fancy speak for everybody at home. It's where like the Venn diagram overlaps with everything else. And it has so much comorbidity with ADHD
Mhm.
that the Venn diagram of it looks a little less like a Venn diagram and more like a circle because so much of it is just in there. And so they constantly get mixed. Little girls, especially who have autism, get misdiagnosed with ADHD and the other way around. And there is a high prevalence that they actually have both.
Yep.
And they don't learn that until adulthood. And then they're like, okay, so now I can finally learn appropriate skills to help me with these things. And it's not that I don't like going out in public, it's that I don't like loud sounds. And so now I can put headphones on to help, desensitize me to that thing. Like, having the right language and seeing ourselves in media is very important. So thank you very much.
And for my girls, that's what it's about, right? It's not, it's about trying to understand your brain and how to navigate life, right? It's
Yeah,
to appreciate the things. Yeah, there's some complexity, there's some challenges, but it's really just about figuring yourself out and embracing it. And yeah, I think you're spot on. And in the book, there's a lot of that. So I hope people really can kind of see that.
I love that. And that brings us to
Well,
the
no.
very first game of the podcast. Mwahahaha. So the first game is Never Have I Ever Spoiled My Own Book. And if you have ever been to a sleepover and played Never Have I Ever, similar rules.
I mean, I've been to a lot of sleepovers, but I've never played Never Have I Ever.
Oh, okay. So in Never Have I Ever, I give you some statements that start with Never have I ever done XYZ. Something, these specific statements are very stereotypical writerly, readerly things. So, like, never have I ever written at a coffee shop. Never have I ever written a
And
book
then I
called
do a
Swear.
shot of vodka. Is that how this?
And then I keep track, and if you've done 5 or more, you have to spoil something from beyond what you think is Act 1.
Okay.
You can, however, be as vague as you want to be. No pressure.
We're all friends here.
Yes, we're all friends here. So, yes, as producer Rob points out, I play dirty. I absolutely do. Do I stalk social media and get stuff? Yeah, I sure do. Have I 100% put on a list before? Never have I ever written the book that you're here to talk about? Yeah, I've absolutely done that. I'm petty. I don't care. Everybody should know it. So the first official one is never have I ever had an iced coffee while editing.
Well, we definitely had that. Yeah.
Never have I ever zoned out while listening to an audiobook.
So, truth, I've only listened to one audiobook because I zone out continually, and it was with my kids. But on that one, yeah, I probably zoned out, but it was really good.
I zone out all the time. I love to play like little cozy games while I listen to audiobooks. And, just a little bit of text on the screen, and I've missed 20 chapters of this audiobook. What has happened?
That's my problem too. It's just like, oh, it's over. I'm not a good audiobook person, but I'm glad they exist. They're just not for my brain.
Perfect. Never have I ever skipped ahead just to check something.
I don't skip ahead. I'm psychotic. I would never read the ending. I'd rather die.
That's fair. I have this awful habit that I have no idea where I picked up, but if I'm on like the last page, my eyes will immediately flick to that very last space where all the white space is, and I'm like, stop it now. So like when I'm reading a physical book, I have to put my hand over top the other page because my eyes will be like, what's that there? What
Yeah,
did that say?
the author in me, it's like, no, someone has written this delicately, so I read it one at a time and get to that ending. So yeah, I'm disciplined.
Yeah, my poor eyes, my poor brain. It's so awful.
Okay.
Never have I ever reread my favorite scene immediately after writing it.
Hmm. I don't tend to read. I tend to write and just keep going. So I don't read it again until I've edited it. So no.
That is the smart way to do that, by the way, because otherwise you get in this loop. For
Yeah.
anybody at home who might be thinking of getting into writing, it's best to just lay it all out on the page.
Yeah, and I actually love the beginning of writing when you're just like vomiting on the page. That's so fun to me. And
Yes.
this is where my neurodivergence is such a great thing because I have hyperfocus, which
Mhm.
means I can write for like 7 hours at a time. I won't like eat or pee, which not healthy. But I love that when in the beginning of the book I'm just writing, and yeah, I never look back. I just keep going.
Yep, as long as I have found the right song for, and I mean song, singular, I will
Oh yeah,
get
yeah.
into, yeah, I will get right into hyperfocus mode. And then similarly, a couple hours have passed. I haven't gone to the bathroom. I haven't eaten. There's like 17 missed calls on my phone. And I'm like, the
But you
world,
made
right.
progress.
Yeah. But I did like 10,000 words today. So go
Yeah,
me.
exactly.
Never have I ever changed a character's name halfway through drafting.
No, so I am very particular about the names. I love names. I ask people their names all the time, and I think I mean, I'm weird. It's okay. So I'll be like, I'm a writer. That's why I'm asking. So that makes it more normal. But I always know my names, and I always keep them. I've never changed a name yet.
I have I have a good story about, but I'm a writer. Almost every writer has like a folder on their computer that the FBI would probably be like
Yep.
suspicious, and then see that you're drafting something and be like, oh, okay. Uh, when I was doing my master's project, I was doing a murder mystery, and so I had a folder full of variously decomposing bodies so that I could describe them correctly. And
I get it.
yep, and the job that I had was so boring, and I was usually done by like 11 noon, and then I wasn't allowed to go home until 5, so I would just work on my work. And my boss came up behind me while I had this folder open, and he was like, and the first words out of my mouth were just, "It's okay, it's for a project." Like,
Yeah, like
I'm like,
don't
I'm
worry.
like,
These dead bodies have a reason.
I'm
It's
like,
cool.
oh, I did not make this better. Can I just go home early? Is that fine? I'm so shamed. Like, it's, uh, never have I ever gotten emotionally attached to a side character.
Okay, well, the new book has a person called Henry, and I
Mhm.
think by the end of this book, I was like, yeah, I think I'm in love with Henry. It's okay. All right, it's first time, you know. Oh, so here's my vodka.
Never have I ever read reviews of my own work.
Oh, I have, and well, we can talk about it. Hold on a second. So the first book, it was so hard for me, and actually, all my books have done really well. I shouldn't complain. There's no like evilness in any of my reviews, but it's a real weird thing, and I think every book should come with a therapist because I don't think any author should read. But you like people send them to you, and you see them, and I do read the good ones, and they feel so good. But man, you see, like in a 3 star isn't even that bad, but it's like, let me click on that and just hurt myself. And I do it. I've gotten better.
Mhm.
I've gotten better. The second book, got so much love because it's a happy book. This one will be interesting. I know I've pushed some stuff. I know I wrote some stuff that's going to piss some people off, but there's also stuff that's going to make people happy, and it's interesting. So I'll try really hard not to read those reviews.
I as as an influencer, which I hate calling myself that, but that's technically the job I'm at as a podcaster.
Mm-hmm.
I can't believe anybody tags an author in a review below 4 stars. And Joanne Paulson is totally in love with Henry. You
She
have.
was my editor. And, she is amazing. She's also an amazing author and amazing friend, and I love her to death. And
Shout
yeah, man,
out.
I knew I got Henry right when we were just like both in love with Henry. I'm like, is this seeing too much? And she's like, wow, this is going well. I'm like, okay.
But yeah, I have no idea how people like find the audacity to be like 1 star, tag the author. Like,
And I've never been tagged in negative review. Like I said, I've had only positive. Like readers have been so kind to me. I know it's coming, but yeah, I don't get it because we are people, and it's like I don't
yeah,
know. Remember in 6th grade when you got a C on a test? That made you feel pretty yucky. That's what it feels like. It's like, oh, sorry, even
yeah.
though I don't know you, reader, you just like broke my heart, and I will think about it for the rest of my life.
Yep. It'll
Yeah.
be my permanent 3 a.m. thought. Thank you for adding to the bank.
Yeah, so I don't quite get it, but there is so much positive from readers that it's like I
Mm,
don't ever want to say anything too negative because man, none of us authors, like me as a small author, I would not exist without readers who talk about these books and
yeah.
quote them and show them on social media. Like it's a whole world because of them. Like I can't thank you enough. However, if you hate my book, I mean that's cool. I don't know. Don't tell me. Tell
Yeah.
someone else.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
So the last couple ones are never have I ever stayed up way too late to finish a book.
Oh, please, who hasn't done that?
Exactly. I play dirty. And that is your fifth one, by the way. So we have two left, and you have to spoil something. Never have I ever highlighted a quote and never looked at it again.
I don't highlight things. I'm not a
Oh,
highlighter.
huh.
Huh.
I'm a highlighter.
I do love like I had went to a book club where they invited me and I saw my book highlighted. And if I was just like, I don't know, that was a moment for me. I was like, can I just take a picture of it? Like, I love things I wrote and you highlighted. That's so amazing. But I don't know. I'm not a highlighter.
I highlight all the
Don't judge
time.
me. It's okay.
It's okay. It's okay. I think my obsession with highlighting is definitely I was an English major first, and so like highlighting was important because I was reading six books
Yeah.
a week and I needed to relive what I wanted to talk about in class very quickly. But especially here at the podcast, highlighting is a must because
Oh,
we
yeah.
talk like yeah like we talk about books in little chunks and then we'll sit down to record and be like, what was this book about? Oh
Definitely highlight
right.
my book. You can do it. But you know what? I'm a library girl. I get a lot of books from my library. So
Oh
maybe
yeah, no, don't
I
highlight in the
read
library
so
books.
many books that it's like at a certain point, yeah. Thank
Yeah,
you,
no.
libraries.
Yes, libraries. Very last one is never have I ever spoiled a book for myself on purpose.
No, because I told you I'm like really weird and rigid and I don't read ahead and I don't
Yeah.
read spoilers and maybe I should. I'm no fun.
Yo, when Sunrise on the Reaping came out,
Oh, that was my audiobook. That's the one
yeah,
audiobook I listened to.
I disappeared from the internet while I was reading it. I was like, I
It was
can't.
so good.
It was amazing. We're actually this season we're doing a whole deep dive of the Hunger Games. Very exciting.
Very cool.
Goes all the way up to the movie in November, and two of my co-hosts have not read the last two Hunger Games books. So as we're going through the trilogy, I'm like, and I can't talk about it because I don't want to spoil anything for them.
Well,
And
shame on them. Spoil it. They
yeah,
should read up.
they should.
Uh,
Oh,
Oh, sorry. I didn't read comments because I'm like, hi, Collie, I love you too. You're the best.
I was gonna say, Colin says hi, Aunt Julie.
Colin was part of my dedication in my last book.
Aw, very cool.
Yeah.
So you do have to spoil something from Beyond Act One.
Oh, let's see. Well, I told you that there was a hot violinist,
Mm-hmm.
and there's definitely an amazing scene where a violin lesson gets taken a little bit too far. Is that spoily enough?
Yes, that's spoiler enough. That's
Okay.
perfect. So these next couple of questions are specifically about writing craft and reading habits. Now, you say in your bio that you are drawn specifically to writing complicated characters. How do
Mhm.
you personally define a complicated character, and what is your approach to making them feel layered without losing clarity?
I guess complicated to me is you don't feel like you saw them in the Starbucks line. They make you want to read a little bit more. They're not usually, I don't know, everybody's flawed. I love flaws. I love morally gray.
Mm-hmm.
I love complexity. I love the people you think are terrible, but as you get to know them, you can see their heart.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, I don't know. I just like, I'm a very character driven writer and reader. If I can feel like the character and could sit down at the, kitchen table with me and then I might not like them, I love that. That's so fun to me. Like, should I serve your dinner? I don't know. If so, I've gotten it right. And there are lovable characters too, but I think people are fascinating, and
Mm-hmm.
my kids will always. This is gonna sound weird. I'll have my phone out and I'll be like taking notes, and they'll be like, "Oh, she's spying on someone," and it's true. I will. There are different. I see of humans or humanity. It could be a beautiful moment. It could be the way like a grandfather is like talking to a child, and it's like, ooh, that's like just a little capture of humanity. So I love those little layers that I can add into a book. And all my readers will say the characters are so relatable. And that's why
Mm.
they're layered and they're flawed and they're weird. And yeah.
Joanne specifically wants to know how you conceived of the hot violinist.
So I will admit that two of my children play the violin. And there have been some wonderfully pleasant violin teachers. But I actually was gonna. It started out as a piano teacher,
Mm-hmm.
but then I thought of this one scene, and I was like, "Oh, I need an instrument where the person's like behind them."
Yeah.
That sounds crazy graphic. It's not that graphic. I also played the violin and I played the piano, so for me, the violin was something I could write about. So while they have had cute teachers, it was really that I could write about a violinist and feel like I got it right.
I I grew up playing guitar and I tried to do violin in college. That did not go well. But I think like the violin, having somebody next to you and kind of correcting you is less intimidating than having somebody stand behind you. Like my guitar teacher, whom I loved growing up, we would do finger exercises on the piano to purposely stretch out my hands so I could reach all the chords that were ridiculous for my tiny little fingers to do. But it always weirded me out to have somebody standing behind me. I
Mhm.
feel like that's a different connotation of body language for
It
things
is.
to happen.
Well, and in this lesson that gets a little out of control, he is basically behind her holding the violin while she's in front of him and helping her play. So it's quite an intimate scene. It was. Hmm.
So what was, if any, what was research like to build out a character like Nicola?
You know what, Nicola? Well, Nicola's fun because she's a vet tech. I love animals, and the thing I learned about the Me List, because the Me List has a rescue dog in it,
Mm-hmm.
a blind rescue dog. And yes, the rescue dog turns out fine. I had a lot of readers like, the dog doesn't die. No, the dog doesn't die. But I loved writing about animals, so I made Nicola a vet tech, and that was super fun to have all these little moments where I could write because I love animals. I do a lot of rescue work. We always have a rescue somebody hanging out, and I thought that would be fun. But it was actually Maeve, who's the narcissist.
Mm-hmm.
That was the tough character. That's where I did a lot of research because I wanted to get her right, but subtle, right? Again, it's that complexity of this person seems
Yeah.
so great. Oh, wait, she's actually terrible. So that took, just, I find it interesting. I love to learn about different things. So that's why you become a writer, right? You can learn and
Yeah.
then put it in your book.
Plus, you don't like when you're writing like the bad character, the villain, whatever. Like, you don't want them to just be like very blatantly the evil character, and you don't want them to be bad for the sake of being bad, for the sake of having this
Right.
obstacle. Like, they need to blend in. They need to be a part of the story. Otherwise, it's like,
Too obvious.
it's
Well,
too
and the thing
obvious. It's
about
like a
narcissists,
caricature.
which I love, I mean, I don't love, but most people become friends or have a relationship with a narcissist, and they're not like, oh, I'm having a relationship with a narcissist. No, they seem like wonderful people
Hmm.
until something happens, until way down. So I love this idea of this character kind of seeming so wonderful and the support Nicola needs and found family, which is usually such a
Love that.
positive thing. Huh. You'll see. It gets a little interesting.
And the final question for this particular section is when you're writing about grief and reinvention, how do you keep the narrative moving forward instead of getting stuck in reflection?
Yeah, I think this is something I've grown since my first book. My
Mm-hmm.
first book also tackled grief because I feel like books don't talk about it enough. And I feel like so many people are
True
dealing with it.
facts.
And I always try to write about the stuff I think everybody is lonely with, but nobody talks about.
Mm-hmm.
So for this book, I knew I wanted to have grief in it. My first book was kind of like grief had just happened. So the character was just kind of dealing with it all. For this, it was about how you carry grief with you, how it becomes your story, and how you can also change your story while still holding on to the past. So it was kind of very, I hope, very delicately done because I knew I wanted Nicola to kind of be able to still love her husband, even though he was no longer there, and but
Mm-hmm.
still love herself and move on.
I like that. That also brings us to the second game of the podcast. So the second game is literary would you rather, and it's just a simple game of this or that. I have like 10 choices for you to choose from. You'll pick one, tell us why that was your choice.
All right.
Okay. So the first one is would you rather write only first drafts forever or only edit forever?
Oh, first drops, please. Do it right now.
Would you rather have a slow burn romance or instant chaotic attraction?
Is this book or in life?
You choose.
I was like, oh, that just gets super
What a
personal.
what a what
In
a
book,
very specific follow
I
up.
know, wow. Maybe it's time to go.
Oh.
In books, I love a slow burn. There is something so lovely about when it finally happens. And I never used to be a romance reader until I decided to write this book, which I knew would have a little bit of romance. But now
Mhm.
I totally appreciate that slow burn because, man, it's great.
I am here for a slow burn romance as long as miscommunication is not a part of
Oh,
it.
agreed. I hate miscommunication.
If if
Hate
I
it.
have to read a whole book
Hate it.
where they just don't talk to each
No,
other,
no,
I'm going
no.
to throw it in a fireplace. I
Well, and I
just
also wonder if it's a neurodivergent thing because, like, we'd be like, you just freaking tell them. Like, I am obviously
it
too honest, but it's like I don't get it. Like, how do you see this person not be like, just tell them the one thing that would make life better? So
yeah.
I hate it.
Yeah, we definitely have read a couple books here where we're like one book in particular, we started off and we were like, oh, like the opening was so great and oh the attraction, oh I love it. And the next time we were like, ugh. And by the end of the series we were just like, ugh. And so those were the actual sound files we used to advertise this series was just
I kind of
yeah.
love that.
Would you rather have a happy ending or a bittersweet ending?
So I love books that make me cry. So my first book, that was my goal. I was like, I'm gonna just kill readers with this, man. This is all heart, because I love that. But now, I guess the last two, I like a sweet happy ending. Maybe I've changed.
Okay.
I didn't answer. I said I chose both. Ha.
You're like, haha, whatever. Would you rather have a plot driven story or a character driven story?
We already know character driven. Could
Yep.
care. I mean, I'm not gonna say I could care less about the plot, but I kind of could. If it's a good character, I'm in for it.
Yep. Would you rather write in silence or with constant background noise?
I write in silence, total silence, except for there are a few, again, these kind of more, we'll say, spicy scenes. I did
Mm-hmm.
what you did, and I listened to the same song over and over and over again while I wrote those specific scenes.
I have to have no. If I have silence, I focus on the silence, and then nothing gets done. And it's almost like the act of ignoring the sound around me is what helps me to
Uh,
focus.
that's
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah, I only if unless I'm a freelance writer. My day job is, hey, I'm a writer too.
Mm-hmm.
If I have an absolutely terrible project, I will listen to classical music because somehow it supposedly makes your brain work harder. I fooled myself into that, so it's like, oh, it's a real hard project. That's the only time I listen to music. Can't be
I
worse.
mean, if it works, it works. Like
Yeah,
that's where we're
whatever.
at. I think I already know the answer to this one, but love triangle or miscommunication trope.
Yeah, I love Triangle.
Yep. Outline everything or discover as you go.
You know this. Look, we've
Yep.
learned so much about each other. Yeah,
Right?
throw that outline out. Ugh.
One perfect book or a long, messy series.
So I had never read a series until my kids got into them, and one time I gave them a series that turned out to be a little spicier than I realized. So then I was like, maybe
Oops.
I should start, whoopsie, reading series with them. And I did like the Throne of Glass.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, loved it. I was like, oh, now I understand why people like series. But I'm still a standalone girl. It's what I write. Give me one book. I can be done with people. But
I've found a new love for duologies that
ooh,
I did not have before. Where I'm like, okay, like it wasn't enough space for the one book, but like this is a good length. Because college burnt me out on reading. Like,
yeah, I can see that. I was an English major too, so I get that.
yeah, you get it. You're like $6 a week, and they're like, and now think about them critically, and you're like, I don't
Yeah.
know, there were words. I think, like when I came home from that degree, I was like, I don't even want to look at a menu. Somebody just choose for me. Like, I
I
don't want
did
to
have
see
a long
words.
time too where I couldn't. I was like, and because I write during the day, I was like, I can't do books. It felt like work. So I was
Yeah,
very glad when it felt better.
yes, I'm so happy for this podcast and to enjoy reading and writing again.
Yeah.
It's really nice. Read your reviews or never see them again.
Well, if they could be good. Um, I do think there's something that inspires me when I know like readers have some things like hit them or like that's lovely. But yeah, I guess if I had to pick one, let's just not read them.
And the last one is kill your favorite character or rewrite the entire ending.
Oh God, I'd love to kill off people. I'd be fine with that. I love the drama of books. I mean, actually, I'm trying to think if I've killed people. Like looking at my books, I haven't killed anybody. People have been died because they died. But maybe that's a goal for me.
That'll be the soundbite for the interview. I'm trying to think if I killed people. No context. You have to listen to the whole interview
Yeah,
for context. It's
yeah.
fine.
Off the rails. Let's do it.
Oh, wonderful. Which brings us to the actual off the rails section of the interview. Is my favorite part. Just absolute nonsensical questions.
Woo!
Oh, and you apparently the YouTube audience is all about silence while writing, so I've been outvoted on the island apparently.
Yes.
So, if Nicola had to fight one of her problems in an arena, which one is she choosing and is she winning?
Guess it would be her loss, and no, she is not winning,
Oof.
but she will.
Eventually.
Hmm.
Which character is most likely to send "we need to talk" and then immediately disappear?
Um, Probably Maeve.
Probably. If Daisy could control one type of chaos from the world, what would it be and how would she control it?
Huh, she's interesting because she's got a lot going on in her brain, as you can imagine. Daisy definitely has a lot of sound issues, so probably if the world was a little quieter. Her favorite part in the book is when she gets to go swimming in a lake, and
Mm-hmm.
all the sound gets quiet, and it's such a blissful moment until Sage ruins it. But that's okay.
Big mood, Daisy, big mood. If Square Hearts were adapted into a Muppets movie, who plays who, and who is the only human character?
Who plays who? I'm trying to think who would be Maeve. You know who would be Daisy? This is going to be a really random. Who cares? I'm the only one who needs to know about this. There was this little. I'm a bunny person, and there was this little bunny that was always on the Muppets that I liked. His name was Bean. Probably nobody.
Yes! Bean!
Oh my god! Producer knows Bean. Yeah.
Producer Rob knows Bean.
Sorry, I need to calm myself. I really love bunnies. I love Bean. In fact, I had a bunny named Bean who turned out to be a jerk, but that's okay.
Oh.
So Bean was just this happy little character, and that's who Daisy is to me. Even though she's neurodivergent and causing lots of trouble inside, like she's just so beautiful and happy, and she's Bean to me. And only the producer understands this, and that's great. The only male, I don't know who the human character. I always hated the humans in the Muppets. It's like, what are they doing there? It was always creepy to me. There
I
was a really
always
old farmer guy. He would totally be a good human. He plays the guitar in one of the scenes.
I've always thought it was really weird. Like, as an adult, I wonder if the human characters know that the other characters are Muppets,
Mhm.
or they're just like having this wild hallucination and they're like, no, this is just what the world looks like.
This is just
Everybody is
how it
covered in
is.
felt. It's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah,
It's all good.
yeah.
If the
I
story
love
took
that
place,
thing.
oh,
Sorry. I'm still just in love with it. Thank you. Keep going.
if the story took place at a dark magical academy, what would change the most?
Who or what? Oh, like about the book? I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, the book's set in North Carolina because I used to live there, and I actually usually never have a setting in my book, and I thought it would be fun to be like, let's put a setting in. And North Carolina is all sunny and happy, and now I live in Seattle where it's miserable, but that's okay. So I don't. I guess the setting to me, because to me the scenery of that book is so happy and vibrant, and dark academia is like darkness and smelly
Yeah.
old buildings.
It's smelly.
Yeah, it's like damp, damp books. That's
Yeah.
what.
I think I've been in the basement of that particular setting.
Yeah, yeah.
I can think of that specifically at one of the campuses I've been on.
That's how you know you've read too many English books and have been in like the bowels of a library when you're like, this
Yeah.
smell, it smells damp.
Yeah, it's like half vanilla and half mold. But it's pleasant somehow, but also the worst thing you've ever smelled in your
Yeah,
life.
that's
Like,
right.
yeah. And I want a candle of it. It's fine. It's cool. If your book had a soundtrack, what would the main theme be?
I think love. Even
Love.
though for me it's self-love, it's not like the cheesy love of falling in love with someone else. I think it's all about loving who you're looking at in the mirror.
Love that. And the last one. If hearts are squares, what shape is the brain?
Ugh. Um, Let me think. My picture is like, that like storm cloud of sadness.
Yeah.
That is the brain to me. Just got
It
really
is.
into therapy quick, didn't that? But yeah, it's just a very complicated thing. It's definitely not simple.
It is just a gray meat slab that makes me sad inside my body.
Well, and it can make you understand why a square is so lovely and perfect, but brains are not squares, and neither
Right.
are hearts, as you will learn.
Yes. So, our final question, and I ask this of all of our guests because books take a lot of people to get out into the world. Is there anyone that you would like to thank today? Anybody from agents to editors to publishers, even workshop partners, or your family who may have had to listen to a scene 200 times? And if you've done all the work yourself, feel free to thank yourself because that's a lot of work to do
Oh,
alone.
it is a lot of work. I'm pretty private with my stuff. Joanne, who is on here, is always, she's an editor. She's amazing. She is always the first person I have read the book. Because I trust her with my life and my characters. And then I make her read it again when I've messed it all up again. And she helps me get back to life. And she's just so amazing. My friend Jackie is always an early beta reader when I'm like, I don't know if I can do this. And she's always sees the beauty in everything. And then I write it again. And I'm like, and I've changed it. And she's like, even better. She's amazing. And all my family always supports me and buys my book. My sister always sends it out to people. My in-laws are on here and they always help me. And you saw Colin was there. Hi. So
Hi,
I feel
Colin.
very, very loved. The hardest part for me is I kept my last name because I love my dad. He was super inspirational to me, but both my parents are deceased, which means I can write parent characters however I want. Read the first book, but it's hard for me not having that support system. So I am very lucky. So many other people have kind of filled in the gaps for me.
That is very beautiful, and also a wrap officially on this episode of Booked All Night. So thank you very much for joining us today, Julie. Yay! If you want to plug your socials, tell everybody where they can find you, your website and such.
Sure, I am all over social because that makes my kids not be. So yeah, if you go on Threads or TikTok or Instagram, just type in Julee, Julee Balko, and you will see me doing something awkward and talking about books.
Lovely. Aren't we all awkward online?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so long.
And to all of our booklets at home, you can join us on April 18th at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific for our interview with Henry Corrigan about Party of a Lifetime, an Eldritch Prom night horror novel. Henry's forum is now open on our Discord, so make sure to ask him what was going through his head when he decided Becca's life could be worse. We'd love for you to be part of the conversation, so don't forget to rate the show, drop a comment, subscribe, and leave some fan mail by clicking at the link at the top of the episode description. We might even play it for our next episode. Booked All Night is produced by Rob Cook and his cats, so when you share an episode, be sure to tag us at Booked All Night Pod on Instagram and Threads and give a shout out to our guy in the sound booth and demand some cat pictures. He has 3 cats. There should be more cats on our socials.
More cats.
More cats. For more updates, oh, we had Echo today. I knew she was going to break into your office. I knew it. I knew it. For more updates about our reading schedules, upcoming guests, and more, visit bookedallnight.co. Until next time, booklets, this is Jessica and Julee Balko signing off and reminding you to stay booked all night. Good night, everybody.